Hey, welcome back. Today, let's talk about something that can save you thousands before you invest in land. The checks most buyers skip that end up costing real money later. This isn't about finding the perfect property or discovering some hidden gem that everyone else missed. It's about avoiding the expensive mistakes that look completely invisible until after you've already signed the paperwork and committed your capital. After more than 12 years working in real estate and personal investing, I've learned the most expensive mistakes are always the quiet ones. The seemingly minor details that get overlooked during the excitement of buying but become major financial problems during ownership, development, or eventual resale. When you slow down and systematically verify the fundamentals, every other investment decision becomes significantly clearer and more confident. The difference between a profitable land investment and an expensive headache often comes down to these verification steps that take patience but protect your entire investment. Here's exactly what I check before ever putting a dollar into any piece of land. Verify legal access. Before anything else, I confirm the property has recorded legal access that's properly documented and legally enforceable. Look, it sounds completely obvious, but you'd be surprised how many parcels, especially rural ones, don't actually have guaranteed legal access, even when there's a clearly visible dirt road or pathway leading directly to the property. What matters isn't whether you can physically drive to the land today. What matters is whether that access is officially documented on the deed, established through a recorded easement, or guaranteed through other legal mechanisms that will protect future owners and satisfy lenders or title companies. To verify this properly, I usually start by reviewing the official plat map and checking the county's GIS system online. Most counties maintain digital mapping systems that show recorded easements, right-of-way designations, and access routes. I also ask the title company to confirm access rights in writing and provide documentation of how access is legally established. You can often find this information through county assessor offices, planning departments, or recorders' offices. Many maintain public databases where you can search by parcel number or address to see recorded easements and access rights. Pay special attention to shared driveways or roads that cross multiple properties. These sometimes involve maintenance agreements or usage restrictions that could affect your costs or access rights. Without properly documented legal access, a property can lose 30 to 50% of its market value almost immediately. Banks typically won't provide financing for properties without legal access, and your potential buyer pool becomes severely limited to cash buyers who understand and accept the access limitations. I've seen beautiful properties with excellent development potential become nearly impossible to sell simply because access rights weren't properly established or documented. Even properties with long-standing informal access can face legal challenges if the access crosses other private property without recorded easements. Good investors always start here because legal access determines everything that comes afterward: development potential, financing options, insurance availability, and eventual resale value. When you slow down and verify even the most basic assumptions, the entire investment picture becomes much clearer and more predictable. Legal access isn't an exciting topic, but it forms the absolute foundation of any successful land investment. Study water behavior on site. Once access rights are confirmed and documented, the next critical step is understanding how the land actually behaves in different conditions, especially how it handles water during various weather patterns. I make it a point to visit and walk any property in both dry conditions and, whenever possible, during or immediately after rainfall. Dry weather tends to hide potential problems, while water reveals them clearly and dramatically. Rainfall patterns expose natural drainage flows, areas prone to pooling or standing water, erosion paths that could affect building sites, and runoff issues that might require expensive grading or drainage solutions before any development can begin. Most investors rely primarily on satellite images, aerial photography, and topographical maps, but water movement and soil behavior can't be fully understood from digital imagery alone. Photos show you elevation changes and general terrain, but they miss crucial details about how water actually moves across the property during storms or seasonal weather changes. I recommend contacting local county extension offices, which sometimes publish detailed soil surveys and drainage maps for different areas. These resources help you anticipate saturation patterns, seasonal water issues, and natural drainage characteristics, but walking the land yourself during different weather conditions remains the most reliable method for understanding water behavior. Water-related issues can easily add thousands of dollars in unexpected drainage work, foundation requirements, or site preparation costs. They can also significantly limit where structures can be placed, how utilities can be installed, and what types of development are practically feasible. I've seen buyers discover major grading needs, drainage problems, or seasonal flooding issues only after purchasing. Problems that can easily cost $5,000 to $15,000 or more to address, depending on the scope of work needed and local contractor availability. Pay special attention to natural drainage patterns, areas where water pools during storms, signs of erosion or soil movement, and any evidence of seasonal wetness like water-loving vegetation or soil discoloration. These observations help you understand both development opportunities and potential limitations that could affect building placement and site preparation costs. Good investors read land the same way financial analysts read market charts. Small details and patterns signal longer-term trends that affect both immediate usability and future value appreciation. Get reliable, comparable sales. After you understand the land's physical behavior and characteristics, you'll want to confirm its financial reality by researching recent comparable sales in the area. Before I ever begin serious negotiations, I thoroughly research recent sales of similar land parcels, focusing on properties with comparable size, location, terrain, zoning classification, and development potential. This research involves examining sales data from the past 6 to 12 months, depending on market activity in the area. Most county websites maintain public records of property sales, and MLS systems often include land transactions with detailed information about lot size, sale price, terms, and property characteristics. This step helps you avoid overpaying based on emotional attraction to the property or persuasive seller marketing materials. Land values can vary dramatically even within relatively small geographic areas, and beautiful scenery or attractive features can significantly cloud judgment when it comes to determining actual fair market value. Recent industry reports consistently show that raw land pricing can fluctuate by 20 to 40% or more within the same general area, depending on specific factors like road access quality, utility availability, terrain characteristics, zoning restrictions, and recorded deed limitations. I typically research at least 3 to 5 truly comparable sales within a reasonable distance and time frame, paying careful attention to properties that sold rather than just properties that were listed for sale. Listing prices often reflect seller hopes rather than market reality, while actual sales data shows what buyers were willing to pay. County assessor records frequently provide detailed information about lot dimensions, total acreage, sale prices, transaction dates, and relevant property characteristics that help establish realistic value ranges for similar properties. Many counties also maintain databases showing assessment ratios and recent appraisal information. Look for patterns in pricing based on specific features like utilities, road frontage, terrain, proximity to developed areas, and zoning classifications. Properties with existing utilities typically command premium pricing compared to raw land requiring utility installation, sometimes adding 10 to 30% to market value. Using comprehensive comparable sales data puts your decision-making back into factual market reality rather than marketing materials or emotional responses to attractive features. Smart investors consistently anchor their investment decisions in verified market data rather than subjective appeal or seller representations. Order a professional survey. Next, you'll want to know exactly what you're buying with complete precision and legal certainty. And that understanding starts with ordering a comprehensive boundary survey conducted by a licensed professional surveyor. A full boundary survey represents one of the most straightforward and protective steps you can take before finalizing any land purchase. I always order a complete survey before closing, even when sellers provide older surveys or plat maps. Property boundaries can shift over time due to natural causes, fence lines can be moved or installed incorrectly, and undocumented encroachments from neighboring properties happen much more frequently than most people realize. A licensed surveyor will physically visit the property and mark exact legal boundaries using precise measurement equipment, identify all recorded easements and their physical locations, highlight any encroachments from neighboring properties or structures, verify total acreage against deed descriptions, and provide a detailed map showing all relevant boundary information. This professional verification protects you from future boundary disputes with neighbors, ensures you don't accidentally plan development outside your actual legal property limits, confirms that existing structures or improvements are properly located within property boundaries, and provides documentation that satisfies lenders and title insurance companies. Survey costs typically range from several hundred to over $1,000, depending on property size, terrain complexity, boundary length, and regional pricing standards. However, surveys prevent boundary disputes and encroachment issues that could easily cost many thousands of dollars to resolve through legal proceedings or property line adjustments. The investment in professional surveying pays for itself through legal certainty and protection against costly boundary problems. Many lenders require current surveys for land financing, and title insurance companies often provide better coverage when recent surveys are available. Professional surveys also identify utility easements, drainage easements, access rights, and other recorded restrictions that affect how you can use different portions of your property. This information proves crucial for planning development, installing fences or structures, and understanding your complete ownership rights. Clear, professionally verified boundaries lead to confident decisions about development placement, property improvements, and future planning without concerns about inadvertent trespassing or boundary violations. Check zoning and deed restrictions. Now that you know precisely where your property boundaries are located, the next essential step is thoroughly understanding what you're legally permitted to do with the land according to both public zoning regulations and private deed restrictions. I always verify current zoning classifications and research any deed restrictions early in my evaluation process. Zoning regulations, established by local government authorities, determine allowable land uses, building requirements, minimum setback distances from property lines, maximum building heights, density limitations, and long-term development potential for your specific area. You can usually confirm current zoning classifications through county planning departments, and most counties now maintain detailed zoning maps available online through their official websites. These digital maps typically show residential zones, commercial districts, agricultural areas, industrial zones, and mixed-use classifications, along with specific development regulations for each zone type. Many planning departments also provide detailed zoning ordinances that specify exactly what activities are permitted, what requires special permits, what building standards apply, and how regulations might change over time. Some areas have overlay districts that add additional requirements for environmental protection, historic preservation, or aesthetic standards. Deed restrictions represent a completely separate layer of land use rules, often established by previous property owners, original developers, or homeowner associations, that can be more restrictive than public zoning requirements. These private restrictions appear in title documents, subdivision covenants, or homeowner association agreements. Deed restrictions can control virtually any aspect of property use: minimum home sizes, architectural styles, building materials, fence types and heights, landscaping requirements, livestock restrictions, short-term rental prohibitions, commercial activity limitations, and even exterior color schemes or roof materials. I've seen deed restrictions that prohibit manufactured homes, require specific architectural approval for any construction, limit the number of pets, restrict parking of recreational vehicles, mandate landscaping maintenance, or require membership in property owner associations with ongoing fees. Ignoring this research step is one of the primary reasons many buyers end up owning land they can't use according to their original intentions or investment plans. When you understand all restrictions up front, they become planning parameters rather than unexpected obstacles. Zoning and deed restrictions aren't necessarily problems when you know about them during your evaluation. They represent the established rulebook for protecting property values and ensuring compatible land uses within the area. Evaluate flood zones and wetlands. After understanding zoning and use restrictions, Comprehensive environmental risk assessment becomes the next critical evaluation step. Flood zones and wetlands can significantly impact insurance costs, building requirements, development limitations, and long-term property values in ways that may not be immediately obvious. The most straightforward way to assess flood risk is by consulting FEMA flood maps, which classify different areas according to flood probability using specific zone designations. Low-risk areas are typically designated as Zone X, while higher-risk areas receive classifications like Zone A, Zone AE, or Zone VE, each with different requirements and risk levels. Properties located in higher-risk flood zones often require flood insurance, elevated construction techniques, special foundation requirements, or development restrictions that can add substantial costs to any building project. Flood insurance alone can cost hundreds to several $1,000s annually, depending on the specific risk classification and coverage amounts. For wetlands assessment, federal agencies like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service maintain comprehensive wetland maps and databases, while state environmental agencies often provide additional detailed information about local soil conditions, seasonal water patterns, and environmental protection requirements. Construction activities near designated wetlands typically require special permits from environmental agencies, may face significant restrictions or prohibitions, and can involve lengthy approval processes that delay development timelines. Some wetland areas are completely protected from any development or alteration. Many state environmental agencies maintain online databases where you can research soil types, seasonal water patterns, drainage characteristics, and environmental sensitivity for specific parcels. These resources help identify potential development limitations before you commit to purchasing. Understanding environmental factors doesn't just help prevent development problems. It enables you to accurately price long-term risks, insurance requirements, and potential building costs into your overall investment analysis and return calculations. Confirm septic feasibility. If your prospective property passes environmental assessments, the next infrastructure question involves determining whether you can install necessary waste management systems. In rural areas or locations without access to municipal sewer systems, septic system approval often determines whether land is actually buildable for residential or commercial purposes. I always begin this investigation by contacting the county health department or environmental services department to inquire about local soil requirements, typical percolation test results in the area, septic system regulations, and any previous test data available for the specific property or nearby parcels. A percolation test, commonly referred to as a perk test, measures how quickly soil naturally absorbs water, which directly determines what type of septic system can be installed and whether septic installation is feasible at all. Soil that fails percolation testing due to heavy clay content, underlying rock layers, poor drainage characteristics, or high water tables may require engineered septic systems or alternative waste management solutions. Most counties maintain specific guidelines and requirements showing acceptable soil absorption rates, minimum lot sizes for different septic systems, setback requirements from wells or property lines, and soil testing procedures for various property types and intended uses. Standard conventional septic systems might cost anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 to install, depending on local conditions and contractor pricing. However, engineered systems designed for problematic soils can easily cost double or triple that amount, and some challenging soil conditions simply cannot support any type of septic system installation. In some cases with severely poor soil drainage, high water tables, or unsuitable geological conditions, properties simply cannot support any type of septic system, making them unsuitable for most residential or commercial development without access to municipal sewer systems. Determining septic feasibility early in your evaluation prevents costly surprises during the development planning phase. Many lenders also require septic feasibility confirmation before approving construction loans for properties without sewer access. Professional soil scientists or septic system contractors can often provide preliminary assessments based on soil surveys and local knowledge, helping you understand likely costs and requirements before ordering formal percolation testing. Determine the water source. Once waste management feasibility is established, the next essential infrastructure consideration involves confirming reliable water sources and understanding associated costs for installation and ongoing service. You'll need to determine whether your property will rely on a private well system or has potential access to municipal water service. Private wells can provide excellent water quality and reliable service, but drilling costs vary dramatically based on required depth, local geological conditions, water quality, and regional contractor availability. Well drilling typically requires permits and professional testing to ensure adequate flow rates and acceptable water quality. Many regions report average residential well depths ranging from 150 to 300 feet, but local geological conditions can require much deeper drilling in some areas. Rocky terrain, challenging geology, or deep water tables can significantly increase drilling costs and complexity. Local well drilling contractors often provide rough cost estimates based on typical depths and conditions in neighboring properties, though exact costs and water quality won't be confirmed until actual drilling and testing are completed. Well drilling can cost anywhere from several thousand to $10,000 or more in challenging conditions. If your property has potential access to municipal water service, contact the local utility company to request information about service availability, connection requirements, installation timelines, and associated costs for extending service to your location. Municipal waterline extensions can range from relatively affordable for properties near existing infrastructure to very expensive for remote locations, requiring significant new infrastructure installation. Extension costs depend on distance from existing lines, terrain challenges, required materials, and utility company policies. Understanding water infrastructure requirements enables accurate development budgeting and ensures that your building plans align with available utilities. Reliable water access represents a fundamental requirement for most development projects, making early verification essential for realistic project planning. Talk to neighbors. After completing your formal research and infrastructure assessments, you can gain valuable practical insights by having conversations with people who actually live and work in the immediate area. I always make an effort to speak with several neighbors when evaluating any potential land purchase. Neighbors can provide information that official documents and technical assessments simply don't capture. Seasonal flooding patterns that may not appear on official maps, road maintenance responsibilities and costs, noise issues from nearby activities, wildlife patterns that could affect development, ongoing disputes about property boundaries or access rights, and local development plans or zoning changes under consideration. Longtime residents often possess detailed knowledge about the area's informal history, whether previous property owners attempted development projects and encountered specific problems, if old wells or septic systems exist on or near the property, seasonal issues with utilities or road access, and community dynamics that could affect property enjoyment or resale value. These conversations can reveal practical considerations that significantly impact daily life and property satisfaction. How reliable is power service during storms? Do roads get maintained regularly? Are there seasonal issues with insects, drainage, or accessibility? What's the community attitude toward new development or different types of land use? I typically approach these conversations casually and respectfully, explaining that I'm considering purchasing nearby land and would appreciate any insights about the area. Most people are willing to share their experiences and observations when approached appropriately. Local knowledge adds important context that complements your formal due diligence research, helping you understand the complete picture of what property ownership involves in that specific location. Research title: History and Get Title Insurance. With both formal assessments and informal local insights gathered, it's time to thoroughly investigate the complete legal ownership history of the property. A comprehensive professional title search reveals liens, judgments, easements, mineral rights, unpaid taxes, outstanding assessments, or other legal encumbrances that could affect your ownership rights or create future financial obligations. I rely on experienced title companies for this crucial step, because they maintain access to official county records and can cross-reference multiple legal databases to identify potential issues. Title companies examine the complete chain of ownership going back many years, looking for gaps in ownership transfer, irregular transactions, or outstanding claims that could complicate your ownership. Professional title research also verifies that the current seller actually possesses clear legal authority to transfer the property and that no other parties have competing ownership claims or legal interests in the land. A title insurance policy provides financial protection against losses resulting from title defects that weren't discovered during the initial title search. Many mortgage lenders require title insurance as a condition of financing, but even cash buyers should seriously consider obtaining coverage. Professional title work provides confidence that you're acquiring clear, unencumbered ownership rights that will be legally protected against hidden defects or competing claims. Check all government regulations. Next, you'll want to systematically verify all relevant permits and regulations that could affect your intended land use and development plans. This comprehensive regulatory review includes building codes, setback requirements, driveway permits, utility connection standards, environmental compliance rules, and any special district regulations that apply to your specific location. I usually contact the Planning and Zoning Department directly to discuss specific requirements and verify current regulations. These government employees are accustomed to answering detailed questions from prospective property buyers and developers. Many counties maintain comprehensive development guidelines available through their official websites, including minimum lot sizes required for different types of development, road access standards, architectural restrictions, utility installation requirements, and permit procedures for various construction activities. Understanding the complete regulatory framework enables accurate timeline and budget planning for development projects, while ensuring that your plans comply with all applicable legal requirements from the beginning of your project. Calculate total holding costs. Once all regulatory requirements are clearly understood, you can accurately calculate the complete annual cost of property ownership beyond the initial purchase price. I always comprehensively research property taxes, insurance requirements, maintenance expenses, utility costs, association fees, and any other ongoing financial obligations associated with owning the land. Property taxes on undeveloped land vary dramatically by location, ranging from quite modest amounts in rural agricultural areas to substantial annual costs in rapidly developing regions. County assessor offices typically publish current tax rates, assessment methodologies, and exemption programs that help you calculate likely annual tax obligations. Maintenance expenses might include periodic road grading or repairs for private access roads, vegetation management to prevent fire hazards or maintain access, fence installation and repairs, periodic site visits for security and monitoring, and basic improvements like gates or signage. These annual holding costs directly impact your long-term return on investment calculations, particularly if you're planning to hold the land for appreciation rather than immediate development. Understanding total ownership costs enables realistic financial planning and helps you evaluate whether potential returns justify the carrying costs. When you systematically measure all ownership costs during your initial evaluation, you can establish realistic expectations that align with your investment timeline, risk tolerance, and financial goals for the property. Moving forward with systematic confidence. These 12 systematic verification steps form a comprehensive framework for evaluating any land investment opportunity before making financial commitments. Each verification process protects different aspects of your investment: legal rights, financial exposure, practical usability, and regulatory compliance, while providing the factual foundation for confident decision-making. When you work through this systematic evaluation process methodically and thoroughly, you eliminate most of the expensive surprises and hidden problems that can transform promising land opportunities into costly financial mistakes or lengthy legal complications. The strongest land investments aren't built on excitement about development potential or emotional attraction to beautiful properties. They're built on systematically confirmed facts about exactly what you're purchasing, what you can legally do with it, what it will cost to own and develop, and what realistic returns you can expect over your intended holding period. Every document you review, every conversation you have with officials and neighbors, and every professional assessment you commission becomes part of building comprehensive understanding of what you're actually purchasing rather than what marketing materials suggest or what initial visual impressions indicate. The most successful land investors consistently understand that patience and thoroughness during the due diligence phase create certainty and confidence during the ownership period, and that factual clarity leads to better, long-term investment results than emotional decision-making. Good land investing happens through systematic confirmation rather than hopeful speculation. The strongest portfolios aren't built in excitement. They're built in methodical verification of every important detail,